Capacity 45,200 crowd here. They've been here since 5 o'clock 2 hours ago, and they've been making this sort of noise almost constantly ever since then. The small Welsh contingent outnumbered by some 65 to 1, so all the noise, as you can hear, coming from the Danish supporters. Their team, as Alan Wilkins was saying, has to win tonight to stand any chance of qualifying for the European Championship final. A changed strip, of course, because the Danes play in those lighter red and darker red halves as Wales start this absolutely vital European Championship qualifying Group 6 match, attacking the goal to our right. And it looked as though LKR might get a little bit of a early break, but Pat van den Hauwe was back to cover for Wales. The nerve ends must be absolutely tingling in this atmosphere. It's quite stupendous. They've been here for 2 hours. They've been making a rip-roaring din ever since then, and Neddy Niedzwiecki will feel all the better for that early touch. As Phillips can only find Morten Olsen. A little bit slow to clear. Robbie James. Good run by James. Phillips is wide on the right. James is going all the way, evades Olsen. Bit desperate, that. And that's going out of play, which gives me a chance to bring in my colleague Peter Jackson for the first time. You can feel the atmosphere, Peter.
Yes, it really is special, and the early pattern already been set. We see John Sieverbeck has been given the unenviable job of marking Mark Hughes, and of course Ivan Nielsen looking after Ian Rush. So the outcome of those battles tonight will be very decisive.
Denmark in possession. They have to win to stay in with a chance. That's Heinze to Lerby. Back to the captain, Morten Olsen, 38 years old. He says if Denmark lose tonight, it'll be his last game. He'll retire from international football. And that's a good break by Freeman towards LKR. The header clear by Ratcliffe. Freeman's in there again. First corner of the match. How well will Wales weather the early Danish pressure that is bound to come? They've got everything to lose, the Danes. And Jesper Olsen back in the side, the Manchester United player. Headed clear by Robbie James. Only as far as Jensen. He's making the overlap. Comes back instead to Lerby. It's towards Preben Elkjær, the Italian League's top goal scorer. Speculative one. Brought the roars from the crowd. And as you were saying, Peter, Elkjær and Laudrup, the Italian connection, definitely two men to watch.
Indeed, Elkjær will be out to prove a point tonight because he hasn't scored, would you believe, an international goal since his hat-trick against Uruguay in the World Cup, and that was nearly 18 months ago. But he is in outstanding form in Italy. 8 goals from 6 games, which is twice as many as Ian Rush has managed.
And Sepp Piontek, the Danish manager, was asked yesterday whether he thought Elkjær or Rush was the better player. He was non-committal, but he said that for Denmark, he preferred Elkjær. And he said that he was sure Mike England would prefer Ian Rush for Wales. Jacket, Jensen. Ratcliffe in with the telling tackle. And the Danish goalkeeper, Troels Rasmussen, winning his 25th cap this evening. Didn't play in Denmark's last game, which was a friendly in Hamburg against West Germany a fortnight ago. The Danes lost that 1-0. They've lost their last 3 games 1-0. They haven't scored in 3, they haven't won in 6, and they haven't scored more than 1 goal in any game. in their last 10 international appearances. So they're under pressure. They haven't been playing well recently. And they certainly didn't play well in this corresponding match in Cardiff 5 weeks ago when Wales beat Denmark 1-0. That goal by Mark Hughes, and thoroughly deserved to do so. Morten Olsen. Preben Elkjær. The Danes regain possession. Heinze. Jesper Olsen losing out to Peter Nicholas. And for the second time, neat touch play by Wales. Phillips. Rush. Back in the side after missing the game in Cardiff 5 weeks ago through injury. Heinze to Olsen, to Jensen, to Olsen again. The Danes playing composed football, trying to establish a dominance early on in this game as Lerby plays it through. That's cut out by Radcliffe. Laudrup not making the most of that. Lerby, bad one. Robbie James. Olsen to Ivan Nielsen. One of 3 Nielsens in the squad, the only one in the starting lineup. The other 2, Kent and Klaus, as substitutes. Olsen. What a lovely flick. Elkjær was just offside. Just offside. The referee says this is all a waste of time. Elkjær is thoroughly dejected about that. Michael Laudrup is having a strong word with the Romanian linesman. A very close decision, but I think a correct one.
Yes, indeed. And Peter Nicholas already making a telling impact in midfield. We wondered before the game how Wales would approach it tactically. Here we can see again. In fact, this neither has heard the whistle. Pat van den Houw does very well. Psychological point, gets the blockage in.
So Wales survive. 5 minutes played. No score. A draw would suit Wales quite nicely, thank you. Olsen. Jensen. Again, the challenge from Nicholas. Freeman losing out to him as well, but an illegal challenge by Nicholas, according to referee Inya. So that'll be a free kick to Denmark. Denmark, who reached the semi-finals of the European Championships in France in 1984, lost on penalties to Spain, and got to the World Cup finals for the first time last year. One of the world teams of the 80s. It's been argued that they're a little bit on the decline now. And if that's true, it could prove very much to the benefit of Wales. Nielsen. Mark Hughes just getting a foot on him there. Hughes being watched by Alex Ferguson tonight, the Manchester United manager. Bayern Munich also very interested in obtaining his services. Neil Slatter. That's too long for David Phillips. And cut out easily by John Sieberbeck. Jesper Olsen. Lerby to Heinze, to Olsen. Neat little crisscross patterns of play. This is the way the Danes intimidate opponents, by keeping possession, by building slowly, by not allowing the other team a sniff of the ball. But that's a bad one by Olsen. Van den Houw can do more than sniff that one. He's got time. But it's a little bit too intricate. Peter Nicholas losing out to Per Freeman. No foul, says the referee. Johan Inya from Romania. Eddie Niedzweski playing his first time for Wales in the starting lineup, although he has come on once as a substitute. Chance for Ian Rush. Ivan Nielsen was there decisively. Robbie James. And that's a late tackle by Peter Nicholas on Per Freeman. And referee Inya making clear from the start he's having no nonsense. There's been a little bit of a war of words between the two managers, as relayed from one to the other by the media. But really it's all been blown out of all proportion. There were a couple of isolated incidents in Cardiff 5 weeks ago that Sepp Piontek didn't like. Otherwise he was quite happy with the standard of the Welsh performance, very respectful of it. But those two incidents have been blown up out of all proportion a little bit. And they've been trading insults in the press as Denmark take the kick to Jesper Olsen. Morten Olsen. Søren Lerby. Laudrup. That's a run for Freeman. little too long for him. But Peter Jackson, it's the Danes who are establishing the early control of the ball.
Yes, and I think the last thing that the Danes want would be to drawn into any kind of scrap. I think it's no disrespect to Wales to say that in pure footballing technique they are superior. Wales are, after all, playing one of the very top sides in Europe. The home record is fairly formidable. Denmark lose in Copenhagen very rarely, and a lot of good teams have bitten the dust in recent years.
France, the USSR, East Germany, Austria and Hungary amongst them. It's 6 years since Denmark lost here in a match in a major international tournament, although they have lost 3 friendlies in that time. And Wales's recent away record over the same period in major championships, not an impressive one, although they did win in Glasgow against Scotland in the qualifying stages of the last World Cup. Morten Olsen. Søren Lerby to Rasmussen. And here's a chance for Ivan Nielsen to find Søren Lerby. Well cut out by Radcliffe. Laudrup. Jesper Olsen's making a dangerous run, but he's offside. And although he'll get it into the net, the referee in no doubt that it won't count. Jesper Olsen was fully aware that it wasn't going to count. It's his first full game in Group 6 of the European Championships.
No doubt there that Olsen was offside, but immediately prior to that, Elkjær had made an excellent run and actually got behind Kevin Radcliffe. And to get behind a player of Radcliffe's pace is no mean achievement.
And even though it didn't count, the psychological advantage of opening up the Wales defence like that is bound to tell just a little bit as Wales come forward, but there's a foul there. And so much of this, Peter, is a psychological battle, isn't it? There's this enormous crowd making so much noise, and the nerve ends must be a bit frayed for Wales.
I think more than anything it is going to be a test of nerve. Wales haven't really confronted an atmosphere quite like this anywhere in Europe, and over the last few years they've been just about everywhere in Europe. This really is something that they've not experienced before.
John Jensen, that one's cut out nicely by Niels Slatter. Vanden Houw towards Mark Hughes. Nielsen always in control of that. Lerby. A speculative one towards Elkjær. Jan Heinze. Well cut out by David Phillips. Ian Rush. Little chance for Wales to come forward. Nicholas has got 3 men in support. That's one of them, Dave Phillips. But it's wasted. They need to make more of small openings and chances to retain possession than that, as Morten Olsen sets John Severbeck away. That's much too long for Per Freeman. And Clayton Blackmore, who had such a good game in Cardiff 5 weeks ago, plays it back to Nedvesky. Blackmore scored for Manchester United, first goal of the season, coming on as a substitute last Saturday at Sheffield Wednesday. Played a few games recently, started in a couple and played as substitute in a couple for United, but certainly not establishing a regular place in their first team in the First Division. Flick on by Rush towards Hughes. Might fall for Rush. Didn't quite, Lerby not controlling. Robbie James back in by Jacket, but Rush was coming from an offside position. And just a little gleam of an opening there for Wales. Morten Olsen. Søren Lerby. Winning his 63rd cap tonight. Morten Olsen, he's winning his 92nd. Jesper Olsen. That's not a bad one. Danger. Good save by Nijwicki from Laudrup. Laudrup whacks his foot against the post in dismay. A second corner for Denmark, but that will do Eddie Nijwicki's confidence an untold power of good.
A really marvellous save by Nedvesky, Terence, as you say. It's his first game, first full game, and the last time he played was just for half an hour at a fairly meaningless match in Bergen, and here we can appreciate just how good a reflex save that was. Whoops, there she goes. He'll feel an awful lot better with that.
He certainly will, but Denmark still have possession from a free kick. They're making the early telling moves in this game, 12 minutes of which have gone, but no goals as yet. Morten Olsen. A lot of room for Jesper Olsen wide on the left if he looks for him. Goes halfway there and finds Heinze. That's a useful one. Laudrup's looking very dangerous. Well played by Slater. Laudrup was only half fit in Cardiff and only played the first half of the game. But he's looking much sharper. Laudrup of Juventus, a good teammate of Ian Rush these days, partly because he's one of the few people in Rush's environment in Turin who can speak English. This is John Severbeck, formerly of Manchester United, now with Saint-Étienne, to Morten Olsen. The prime mover all the time from the back for Denmark, to Jan Heinze. Jesper Olsen, to Lerby. Three-man, again well held by Niedzwiecki. A little bit of a testing one by Freeman, but very well held by Eddie Niedzwiecki.
This is an ominous period for Wales. The Danes are getting through a little bit too easily for my liking. Yes, it's not looking too good at the moment, but then Wales were always going to have to prepare to weather this sort of storm.
I think we've lost the line. As Denmark come away again through John Severbeck to Lerby. Again Morten Olsen. Michael Laudrup. Good play by Laudrup. Again well held by Niedzwiecki. He's certainly seeing plenty of action early on.
You can see it again. In fact, Michael Laudrup in the first 15 minutes of this game has done more than he did in the game at Cardiff last month. Again, Eddie making sure he's got his body behind it. Classical goalkeeping.
Ivan Nielsen. Elkjaer. To Laudrup. Jesper Olsen. To namesake Morten Olsen. Laudrup, good tackle by Robbie James. To Mark Hughes. Søren Lerby. That's a good ball to Jesper Olsen, putting Slater under pressure. Oh, Vandenhauwe was a little bit casual with that. And John Jensen was in very quickly. Eddie Niedzwiecki. Ivan Nielsen. Jesper Olsen. Robbie James to Ian Rush. All a little bit too intricate. And there's some space here now for John Jensen. And there's an offside again against Laudrup. Again, it was a very tight decision. Again, Laudrup hasn't heard the decision. And he's missed anyway. But some very, very tight offside decisions going Wales' way. And again, that seemed to be very much the correct one.
No doubt that he was offside, but of course the danger when you play an offside game is that you do tend to become susceptible to a bad decision.
So far, referee Johan Inya of Timișoara in Romania hasn't made one. Adam Ratcliffe, captain in Wales for the 21st time this evening. As again the cries go up around the stadium. Kenny Jackett. Peter Nicholas. Ian Rush to Robbie James. Can't quite set himself up. Slater's there too. We understand you're having a few problems with the sound. We apologise for those. We're doing all we can to save it. Søren Lerby. And that was a little bit too far behind for John Jensen. So 17.5 minutes played of the first half. Wales still level. Mark Hughes brought back by the referee for a foul on Sieverbeck. John Sieverbeck, the first time in his 46 international appearances he's been asked to do a specific marking job, so it'll be something that's not particularly familiar to him. Ivan Nielsen, the man marking Rush, and there is Rush without Ivan Nielsen on that occasion. Kenny Jackett to Mark Hughes. Good one to Clayton Blackmore. Rush, Phillips and Hughes are in the middle. Powerful clearance by Ivan Nielsen. Pêl-droed, was he brought down by Clayton Blackmore? The referee says he was. Perhaps a little bit of a late tackle.
Well, one can't help feeling that that was made to look an awful lot worse than it was. No doubt that Blackmore was late, but he wasn't that late. There had been a war of words before the game. Mike England had accused the Danes of behaving like actors trying to win Oscars. Well, make up your own mind.
I think he'd come well down the list on that example. Søren Lerby. That's towards Freeman. And towards Elkjaer Vandenhouw, heads it well away. And Blackmore completes it. Rush can't quite keep it in. And Ivan Nielsen, 41st cap tonight. It's a team riddled with experience, this Danish one. Morten Olsen's got 92 caps now. And quite a few of them in and around the 30-year-old mark. Mark Hughes, a lot younger than that, in a strong tussle with John Jensen, and Jensen dived spectacularly there. The referee says it was totally unjustified, and I completely agree with him. It was an absolutely farcical little bit of play acting there by John Jensen that might possibly have been worth consideration for an Oscar. But the referee very wisely saying play on. Morten Olsen. Pêl-droed. He played for the Danish team prior to the World Cup, got injured in a pre-World Cup match in Colombia last year, had to come home and only got back into the Danish international side a fortnight ago in West Germany as a substitute, and impressed the manager Sepp Piontek so much that he's kept him in the side tonight. This is Jesper Olsen. Jan Heinze. Bit sloppy. Peter Nicholas. Rush just with Hughes in support, and the close marking again from Ivan Nielsen, paying dividends for the Danes.
Again, Nicholas looking the most influential of the Welsh midfield players. He really is a player, I think, now of some stature, and clearly the move north of the border to Aberdeen has given him that bit more to his game.
Referee Johan Inge got the yellow card out for somebody. Preben Elkjaer is saying don't bother about this time wasting. It's all very confusing. Robbie James is complaining. Mark Hughes gets a yellow card. And he may have a little word with Mr. Jensen about that. But after 21 minutes play, it's still level. Wales getting much more back into the game. No foul on Rush by Ivan Nielsen, according to the referee. Morten Olsen plays on for Denmark. The centre circle for Jan Heinze. The long raking one cut out by Phillips, but could have done a little better than that. Jesper Olsen. He gives Denmark a new dimension on the left. A lot of extra width. Very tricky, cunning player, skillful player. Will they capitalise on that extra dimension that he provides? As Rush comes forward for Wales, Hughes has to delay the run. Slatter, bad ball. And Elkjaer brushing off Vandenhouw. The referee says play on. Laudrup's making a lot of ground in the middle. Good tackle by Vandenhouw. Vandenhouw, and again he falls to the ground, does Preben Elkjaer, and this is quite ludicrous. There was a little bit of an off-the-ball incident in the build-up to that move, Peter, where Preben Elkjaer brushed off the challenge of Pat Vandenhouw, and then this results.
Before the game, there were suggestions that the Danes weren't happy with the referee, but clearly Comrade Inge is not going to be fooled by anyone. A bottle has been thrown on the pitch, and the referee is taking it off before he starts the game. Now, that's quite a serious thing in European football. It's come from the end behind the Welsh goal, and I certainly don't... there's a small knot of Welsh fans there. The last thing we would want to have here is to have this great occasion marred by any crowd trouble.
As Jesper Olsen gets it across. He was looking for Lerby, but he didn't find him, and Rush managed to get it clear. Some 700 or 800 Welsh supporters here. Been a sellout for weeks, this match. And quite a few people have come from Wales without a ticket, and I would imagine they're still outside, frustrated at not being able to get in, because this is a vitally important match, and it's attracting enormous attention in Denmark. More than half the Danish population of 5 million expected to watch it live on Danish television, and they're even moving the national news on the Danish television service, which is something they have never done before, so that the end of this match can be shown. Ivan Nielsen plays it back to the goalkeeper, Troels Rasmus. Hasn't missed any of Denmark's 5 European Championship matches over the past 13 or 14 months. Morten Olsen. Again, the cheers come for the Danish players. It must be so uplifting. Ivan Nielsen a lot further forward than you might expect. Looks for Preben Elkjær. Again, Vanden Hauw showing up tremendously well in these early stages. He's not giving Elkjær an inch. Jesper Olsen. Elkjær. Olsen again. Elkjær. Laudrup's in the middle. He's got a lot of space for Laudrup. Didn't make the most of that. Again, Laudrup's clutching his head for some reason. But that was a golden opportunity for Denmark. I don't think Preben Elkjær realised how much time and how much space he had on the byline.
A clear chance, the best chance the Danes have had, really. Marvellous bit of skill by Elkjær. Terrific player. Cross to the far post, and Laudrup, well, I think he ought to have scored.
Eddie Niedzwiecki was certainly struggling to get across. No fault of his, of course. A better header would have seen Wales fall behind. 25 minutes gone as it is, and they are all square at 0-0. Just to repeat what the situation is, if Wales draw, then barring a disaster, they will qualify, because they'd have to lose by at least 3 goals in their final match against Czechoslovakia in Prague on November the 11th. If Denmark win, of course, then it's all back in the melting pot. Wales would have to win in Prague, and if Wales win this evening, that is that. They are through to the European Championship finals in West Germany next summer. Peter Nicholas. It's certainly quite an open game so far. That's offside against Ian Rush. Wales, of course, in change strip this evening. Attacking the goal to our right, all yellow.
Sepp Piontek, you can see the anxiety on his face, because the longer this game goes without a Danish goal, the worse it's going to become for them, the better, of course, for Wales.
A real gentleman, Sepp Piontek. Has been in this job for more than 8 years now, and he's got a distinguished record as Danish manager. But the pressure line's certainly beginning to tell over the past few months, as there's been a little bit more criticism of this Danish team as to whether they might be over the top. They're certainly fired with determination for this game. Søren Lerby, a regular in the great Danish team throughout the 80s. It's towards John Siverbeck. Morten Olsen. Wales won't worry too much about this sort of build-up. Olsen looking much sharper than he did in Cardiff 5 weeks ago, but he didn't then. Peter Nicholas found Robbie James. Rush couldn't quite control it. Very tight situation. It's a good ball towards Michael Laudrup. And Vanden Hauw concedes a 4th corner for Denmark. Michael Laudrup, very dangerous player. Jesper Olsen might take the quick one. Does to Elkjær. To Olsen again. Again a corner, this time off Dave Phillips.
Well, of course, this is the sustained kind of pressure that Wales will have expected, and it won't be the only sort of pressure they're going to have to contend with over the next 50 minutes.
Jesper Olsen on trying to find Preben Elkjær, but Robbie James was in first. Certainly these corners, they've had 5 of them in the opening 28 minutes. They haven't bothered Eddie Niedzwiecki at all. He's had a few shots and headers to deal with and has done so more than competently. Preben Elkjær. Again, it's very tight. Again, he wriggles around looking for space. And wins a corner off Neil Slatter. So the Danes re-establishing the domination as we approach the half-an-hour mark in this first half. But still no breakthrough.